It is the 5th of the 3rd, 2025. The time is 10 minutes to 10, and there are a couple of F1 topics on the docket as far as the latest and greatest in F1 news. Mini DRS investigation. We said that was the battleground upon which the 2025 season would be won or lost. We've got to talk about car delay and his gardening leave extension of so too. We've got to talk about Max Verstappen, Johnny Herbert saying that the probability of the four soon to be five-time champ moving to Aston Martin is now greater than it has ever been. So too a stat courtesy of F1 stats guru around the drivers who have won championships in Adrian Newey cars and how they fared thereafter. And so too, final topic on the docket, we'll talk about Mika Häkkinen, won't we? Because he said that Lando Norris has everything within his toolbox as at March 2025 to win himself a championship of the drivers' variety. Oh, the humanity. Firstly, Mini DRS Gate is kicking off. FIA stewards and race director are heading over to Woking as we talk to check the flex on the Mini DRS of McLaren as at test it. It's going to get techie, chat. We know the broader context of the story is that Baku at the very least last year was won at the altar of Mini DRS. There is no way that one Oscar Jack Piastri could have held off a fire-breathing dragon in Charles Leclerc, but for the flex on the front wing and the Mini DRS on the rear. Now, however, Red Bull aren't prepared to wait. They are offering challenge and friction to that Mini DRS in real time because the rear wing, some say, it was doing the Mini DRS thing during testing, was it not? They could see it. We saw in the cameras that it wasn't a million miles away from what we saw in Baku. And Red Bull, Christian Horner, Pierre Vacher aren't having it this year. They're not prepared to lose any silverware at the altar of Mini DRS. Here's what we know. According to a report from an Italian outlet, Red Bull have prepared an official accusatory file about McLaren and Ferrari's rear wing. So too Mercedes. Some say they believe Scuderia are in breach of the regulations as well as the reigning World Constructors' Championship. Now the expectation is that FIA delegates will visit Maranello and Woking before the season opening Australian Grand Prix. They will carry out strict checks on the cars driven by Lewis, Charles, Piastri and Norris. Oh, the humanity. Ferrari responded by saying they're cool about this. They're not worried about the situation because they're sure that they are not in breach. The race reports as follows. Similar but not same that Nicholas Tombiasis this week that there has been a request put in to see proper cameras on the back of these wings to see exactly how much they're flexing, if at all. The race writes, a request has been put in for teams to provide housings for FIA cameras to help monitor the rear wings better. The directive has been issued as an updated version of a technical directive 34 on bodywork flexibility. The cameras will deliver high definition footage of the rear wings at high speed through the monitoring of reference stickers that are applied in specific locators. About bloody time. I mean, the FIA need to pull their fingers out. If they're going to do their job, then they need the proper tools now. If that means putting cameras on the back of these bloody flexi wings, these Mini DRS, so that we can see them in real time, abso-flipping-lutely, I'm here for it. Oh, and by the way, what happened to the T-cam, the onboard of during testing? Because I couldn't see the flexi front wings at all. They'll need to fix that. Fans will want to see what's going on, the development of those flexi wings in real time. Oh, and by the way, in his talk, Johnny Herbert said that Maximilian Verstappen would be wise to, at the very least, consider moving to Aston Martin. Why? Because they have all of the goatiest ones now. Adrian Newey and soon some say to be Enrico Cardile. However, around Enrico Cardile, Ferrari aren't having it. Normally, F1 being a merry-go-round as far as its intellectual property and personnel, normally you would just see them let them go, waive the gardening leave, just as Red Bull did with Adrian Newey, the goatiest, the last airbender. With Enrico Cardile, though, Ferrari are not. They're looking to extend it through to the 18th of July, and they won the case. Enrico Cardile will not start at Aston Martin before the 18th, and I think this means something. I think this means that Ferrari in 2026 see Aston Martin as potential challengers. So why would they then give them durable competitive advantage in allowing Enrico Cardile to start, their new chief technical officer? That being said, Adrian Newey has started, and F1 Stats Guru has posted up a sensational one. Here's what we know. He says, of all of the bods who won championships in Adrian Newey cars, when they left, they'd never go on to win another one. Here's the stats. Mansell, of course, he won in 92. No, retired, anomalous. Prost won in 93, retired. So those two are anomalous. Damon Hill, 1996, again, retired. Kind of retired. Jacques Villeneuve, 97, but thereafter, never ever won another championship. Hakkinen, some say 98, 99. Thereafter, never won another championship. Sebastian Vettel, and this is your key one, 2010 to 2013. Shortly thereafter, never ever won a world championship. Ergo, who'd argue at this point, at this juncture, that Adrian Newey is not the last airbender? That if you have him, there is no greater chance, there's no greater securer of success as far as drivers and or championship titles than one Newey. That Adrian's. Oh, and by the way, final topic on the docket, Mika Hakkinen has come out and said some things about Lando Norris under the umbrella heading of whether Lando Norris can win himself his maiden Drivers' Championship. Here's what we know. Last year was chaos. McLaren absolutely underperformed, notwithstanding the fact that particularly in the second half of the championship, they had the best machinery. It was chaos. It was flexi-wing. It was Rob Marshall, the last front wing bender. They had the best car, but Lando Norris was not the best driver, and ultimately that told the tale, did it not? Some will say it was choke central. That Lando Norris, nobody lost more places than him over the first lap during the 2024 season. Mika Hakkinen, though, when asked whether Lando Norris can do it in 2025, whether he can climb the mountaintop and defeat a Max Verstappen, so too a Charles Leclerc and an onrushing resurgent Sir Lewis, Carl Davidson, Hamilton, Mika Hakkinen responded as follows. Absolutely yes. He continues, I experienced so many years of racing in F1 without success. Why did I not get success? It was partly because of my development to become a good racing driver, and also because the car that I was driving wasn't so good. Well, I think the latter of those points, Mika Hakkinen, you can just rule out, because Lando Norris absolutely had the car last year. You can argue about development and trajectory, but that's a conversation for another day, is it not? Mika Hakkinen continues, you keep developing and pushing to become a good driver, and that means you are taking risks, and risks mean that you are putting yourself in positions to make mistakes. Austria, Hungary, Silverstone, potentially some would say, yeah, exhibits A, B and C of Lando Norris and McLaren last year. I think Lando has reached all these elements in his career. He has been taking risks and he's been critical of himself. He has been pushing flat out. True. But surely, if indeed you're to win championships or harbour aspirations of doing that, then you want to trend the mistakes down to zero or as near as makes no difference. This was the challenge laid out to Charles Leclerc by your boy Triple C last year, and he did it. Lando will need to do it this year. Otherwise, he can write off his hopes and aspirations of winning championships, I would argue. But I will defer to Mika Hakkinen in this instance. He says, when I've been studying and looking around, people say he's ready. Can he mentally take this kind of pressure? When you are not world champion and you are working towards that goal, it requires a lot of mistakes. Ergo, that's the price that you pay. That's the tax requisite to becoming a champion, Mika Hakkinen says. He continues, bookending, I believe Lando is ready. He's flat out ready to achieve his goal and he can become world champion. However, I would argue that this final point that Mika Hakkinen makes contradicts the former. He says, you can be talented, of Max Verstappen, by the way, you can be talented and fantastic a racing driver, but becoming the level of being a world champion means more than that. It requires hard work with the team, and this requires mental fortitude and mental endurance. I would contend, Mika Hakkinen, far for it to be me to contradict the two-time champion. But I would contend that as at the 5th of the 3rd, 2025, that Lando Norris doesn't have either one of them. mental fortitude and mental endurance, or at least on the evidence of the 2024 World Championship. Lando Norris currently, as at the 5th of the 3rd 2025, sits as the favourite to win himself his virgin World Drivers' Championship. The odds makers give him 33% chance of doing it. Maximilian Verstappen, a 23% chance. Lando Norris, McLaren, it is your move, sir.